Yeah, I do. I have LaMelo Ball going number one to the New York Knicks, and I've had that for quite some time.
I've seen some writers, recently bash LaMelo Ball and kind of his, defensive skills, and they feel as though he doesn't have whatever it is that they usually will use to bash any of the Ball brothers in terms of
Yeah.
what they have. So without specifically, bringing in any other people's context into how they feel about LaMelo Ball, how do you feel about LaMelo Ball? He's projected by a lot of people to be the number one pick in this draft. Do you have him as being your number one pick? And if not, who do you have?
Yeah, I do. I have LaMelo Ball going number one to the New York Knicks, and I've had that for quite some time. And here's why I love LaMelo Ball. When you look at the landscape of the NBA, it's changed to more ball dominant point
Yeah.
guards.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the superstars in the NBA or the guys that are the table setters, the John Morants, the Trey Youngs, the guys like that,
Mm-hmm.
teams are starting to build around players like that. See, I look at point guards that are dynamic like superstar quarterbacks. And when you look at the NFL draft,
Yep.
you never see teams pass up on superstar quarterbacks
Yep.
because every team needs that focal point.
Mhm.
When you look at LaMelo Ball with his size, his vision, his ability to make plays for other people and score the ball, but not only that, he has a magnetism about him. He's box office, and that's what you want. So I really love what LaMelo Ball brings to the game, and I look for him to have a tremendous career going forward.
Really, what do you think about people's criticism as it pertains to his defense? And because I feel like that is the thing that everybody's looking to kind of as his Achilles. Well, will he ever
shooting to, because his percentages over in Australia haven't
Yeah.
been the best either.
Yeah.
Shooting
I'm
to.
not worried about him being. I'm not worried about him shooting the ball because he's what 6'7" now,
6'7",
6'8",
yeah,
6'7",
6'7".
6'8".
Yeah.
As long as he can get to the rim and hit free throws at a fairly high clip, whether it be 83 to 85%, I think he'll be all right in the NBA. I think especially he doesn't have his man body yet.
This is true.
That's the same thing we were talking about Lonzo before when it came in the NBA and got injured a bunch and was inconsistent. He still didn't have his man body yet. Lonzo is just now getting to like his real actual man body. LaMelo is that 4 years ago, and he's 6'7", 6'8". He still might grow a couple inches. He's only 18 years old.
Yeah, 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So I still feel as though it's a lot of criticisms, but I mean, I think he's going to come in better than most high school players would have came in at the same age. Am I tripping?
No. Anytime you're 18 years old, I mean, you're not going to get a full packaged basketball player. Nobody usually comes into the NBA just fully ready. That's why we call them prospects. So when you look at LaMelo, you hear the things of, oh, his defense is not this or his defense not that. It's easy to nitpick a prospect because all of them have weaknesses. They have strengths and they have weaknesses. But I like to look at, in LaMelo's term, is that his strengths outweigh his weaknesses. In regards to defense, that's something that he'll be able to learn going forward. He'll be taught that by the coaches, trial and error. The way the NBA is played today, there's not as much defense as people try to put emphasis on that anyway. So LaMelo's going to sell a lot of tickets. He's going to be exciting, and as his career progresses, he'll get better from the weaknesses that people say that he has, which one of those is his defense.
And one more question, because there are a couple other prospects that I want to bring up to you and get your opinion on. But as far as if you could maybe give some previous comparison for LaMelo, I think one person that I've thrown out many times on the show is Penny Hardaway. Do you have any previous comparisons to maybe put him in context for some people who maybe haven't seen as much footage or maybe aren't as familiar with LaMelo?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Penny Hardaway that's a tough one. I'm old school, so I'm gonna take people back. I'm gonna make people do their research when I bring the comparison.
Okay.
But LaMelo Ball reminds me a lot of Steve Smith.
Ooh, okay. I like that name. I like
Really?
that.
Okay.
I like that.
I like that.
I like that.
And a lot of people don't know this, so I'm gonna tell this to your
It's
listeners.
gonna be the name of this episode. LaMelo Ball is Steve Smith.
Yeah. Before Steve Smith got to the NBA, Steve Smith was a point guard at Detroit Persian High School. He was a 6'8" point guard that can score off the dribble, that can shoot it from deep, and that can deliver passes. And as he got to the NBA, he was so versatile, he switched his position from point guard to shooting guard.
Mm-hmm.
But before he got to the NBA, go look up Steve Smith at Michigan State on YouTube and look at the clips. A lot of LaMelo Ball in terms of size, vision, ability to score, and just having that it factor. So that's my comparison with LaMelo Ball, Steve Smith.
I like that one.
Okay.
Another prospect, a guy that I'm actually a big fan of, Anthony Edwards. What do you think about Anthony Edwards? What do you think he, projects to? Do you like him? Do you dislike him? What do you like about him? What do you dislike about him?
Yeah, what I love about Anthony Edwards is he is the prototypical shooting guard. His ability to put the ball in the basket at a high clip, but not only that, he's extremely explosive. We were talking about physique in LaMelo.
He's already built.
Anthony is already built.
Mm-hmm.
He has a really strong foundation physique that he can take a pounding. He can deliver contact, absorb contact, score. Obviously, he still needs to get better on the defensive side of the ball. But again, a lot of these prospects,
Mm-hmm.
they always struggle on the defensive side of the ball because they really work on that end of the court. He reminds me a lot. Again, I'm old school, so I'm going to take people there. He reminds me a lot of Mitch Richmond. So if people want to go back and look up Mitch Richmond, he was the 1/3 of Run TMC back in the Golden State era with Tim Hardaway, Chris Mullin, and Mitch Richmond. Anthony Edwards gives me those vibes. I believe he's going to put the ball in the basket from day one, and teams are going to really love the team that drafts him is going to really love what he brings to the table, and that's scoring.
But do you project him to be as good of a shooter as what Mitch was?
No, I don't. He won't be a great shooter like Mitch, but he will be a great scorer.
That's fair. That's fair. Another guy, Obi Toppin. Incredibly athletic. To me, I think he's kind of like, at least in stature, the prototypical wing for today's game. What do you think about him?
Love Obi Toppin. He's one of my favorite prospects. I had the pleasure of I played against his assistant coach, Chris Greer, over at Dayton, and when I spoke to Chris, he just told me that Obi is a deer. Like he wins every sprint. He works extremely hard.
Mm-hmm.
And what Obi brings to the table is a winning mentality. He has a lot of Kenyon Martin in him. He's powerful. He's fearless. But I think he's going to tap out like a player like a John Collins for the Atlanta Hawks. He reminds me a lot of him. A hybrid type of forward that can pick and pop, pick and roll. His hips are a little stiff. So I'm a little worried with him guarding guys like the Jason Tatums and Brandon
Mm-hmm.
Ingrams, because those guys are really wiggly with the ball.
Yeah.
But the upside that Obi Toppin brings to the table in his age, his maturity, he's going to really be a great addition to whatever team drafts him as well.
And one last guy I want to go over specifically before I kind of get your just wide opinion on the draft. James Wiseman. Obviously, there's been he's been in the news a lot, obviously, with the whole situation that happened in Memphis earlier this season. What do you think about James Wiseman? What do you think he, projects to be, and also what do you like and dislike about James Wiseman?
Well, there's not a lot of tape out there on James. He didn't play a lot at Memphis due to the NCAA infractions. But when I watch the little tape that I've been able to watch him and ask around, he reminds me a lot of David Robinson when David was when David played at Navy.
That's high praise.
Left-handed, 7'1", terrific motor, powerful foundation. And again, when you look at the landscape of the NBA, those type of guys, that archetype is extremely valuable. Yeah. Obviously he doesn't have a lot of reps, so that's kind of a concern. Fit is going to be very important for Wiseman, depending on what team he goes to. I would prefer him to go to Golden State, where he doesn't have a lot of responsibility, but he still can contribute at a high level.
Okay. So just as far as this draft overall, I think it's for one a very weird draft year. Obviously, you don't really get to have a combine. So I think because of that, a lot of guys that if they had a combine, you had a tournament, some guys might kind of slip through the cracks, and you get some guys that end up in the second round. Maybe even a guy that comes in undrafted that maybe if you had a college tournament, he would have been able to show himself. Obviously, you don't get that this year. I've also heard people say this is a kind of a weak draft overall. There's not too much talent out there. What do you think about this draft? And I guess, how will scouting be for teams for this draft? Because it's really one that's unlike any other that I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a weak draft. I think that people just we live in a generation now where people don't want to do homework. Everybody wants a quick fix. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are not informed or well informed of the prospects that are in this draft. There's some really, really good players. I like to call this draft a utility draft. Doesn't have tons of superstar power, but there are a lot of kids in this draft that you can get in the second round that can contribute to your NBA team right away. You got a kid like Tyrell Terry from Stanford, who's tremendous. RJ Hampton is fantastic. Yeah, Grant Riller from College of Charleston, maybe the best offensive player in the draft. Mason Jones, Arkansas, led the SEC in scoring at 22 a game. Like, there's a lot of prospects in this draft, but you're going to have to do your homework. Mm-hmm. And to answer your second question, now this is when the NBA scouts, this is how you earn your paycheck. This is where you earn your money now. Like, every year we get this stuff delivered on our front doorstep. Now we're at a time where we finally have to open up our laptops, get your notepad out, watch 3 to 4 hours of tape, and actually do some homework and stop relying on other people to do it for you. So that's kind of where we're at. And these guys get paid top dollar. They have all the resources to get it done. So there's no excuse for you to make a bad draft pick this season.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah, understandable. I agree. I think that for this draft, I think that is more so about. I think it's more so about trying to just get supplemental pieces. And it's not because of the talent. I'm sorry. It's not because of the talent in the draft. It's because of the current climate in the world. So if I'm an NBA team, unless we're picking top 4, I'm not looking at anybody being a potential home run. I'm just looking at someone that can come in where if we don't want to spend a bunch of salary, we can plug that person in for 10 to 15 minutes a game. And then come playoff time, we can ride them if we need to a little bit. And that's what like, I think the best thing that you can get from this draft is if you're the Lakers, instead of you going out and having to sign a J.R. Smith, you have a rookie that you drafted that's decent enough that you can come in, that you can give away some time, so where you can allow other guys to be able to play. Okay. Because I don't think that anybody in this draft other than LaMelo, Wiseman, probably Obi Toppin and Edwards. And Edwards are really going to be anything that's going to dynamically shift anything. And also the sucky part for a player like Wiseman is that if he does go to the Warriors, I'm not sure how much time he's going to get, but also I'm not sure how much time he's going to get going forward. And I'm not sure if he's even going to be on the team next year. So I think this will be like one of the most interesting drafts of all time, because everybody's either going to be really, really safe, or you're going to see so many teams unloading salary and contracts and draft picks. Your head is going to spin.
I also think that, crazy as this might sound, most of the teams that could possibly have a top pick don't really need too much to jump back into being competitive. I even think a team like Cleveland. I think, having Kevin Love, having Andre, having Colin Sexton, having Garland, you really only need maybe a wing. Maybe. Yeah. I don't think you need too much to, jump, especially in the East, talking about getting back into the playoffs, 7th, 8th seed.
Yeah, you don't really need too much. Season too.
Minnesota, you got D'Lo and you got Cat. I don't think you need too much to end up being at least contend for a playoff spot. Even like a team like Atlanta, you got Trae Young, you got John Collins, now you got Clint Capella. I don't think you need too much to be able to jump up and get back into playoff contention. I don't know how you feel about that, but I don't think this is a draft where maybe outside of like New York, I don't think anybody needs just a a vast overhaul, and it's like we need this
Right.
guy to come in and do everything. I think everybody has pretty set teams, has pieces already, and all you need to do is get a guy that fits your team and can come in and help your team win basketball games.
Yeah, I definitely can see that, especially the teams that you named. Sometimes, with teams like Cleveland and Atlanta, you can have too many
Yeah.
draft picks on your team where you
Yeah.
start to look like a college team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful of having your franchise draft in a lottery every year, because then it's just like you're out there with two,
Yeah.
3-year guys, and you're not going to be able to compete at a high level. So I look at a team like Atlanta, who's obviously my favorite team. They don't if they get the first or second or third pick. If I'm Atlanta Hawks, I'm going to trade that pick, because you got to start winning now with a guy like Trae Young that's still on his rookie contract. So you got to start making business decisions and stop, playing video game draft with in real life. You got to start making decisions that can really help your franchise win.
Fair.
Yeah, I agree. So let's go.